Okay. Good. So let's carry on. Okay, so this is the dynamic link between After Effects and Premiere, or rather said Premiere and After Effects. Most likely you'll start editing, and then you start cleaning up footage, fiddling footage, coloring footage, masking out certain things, making titles more exciting in After Effects by just dynamically linking certain shots to After Effects, right? Where you then can do it, and then all your rendering will happen here. This is, for instance, very ugly, and why? Because we go from a... I mean, I like the color of this shot, but I don't like the black bars top and bottom. So how could we fix that? I'm just going to fix it in After Effects quickly. So going to my composition. In order to fix this, I would do the following. Okay, maybe this is something just to have a look at. Layer new. I would make a new layer solid. I would choose a black color, right? Whether black is a color or not, it's... So let's make that all the way down here. So it's 000 hexadecimal colors, and say OK. Press make it comp size. That's OK. Now we've got a fully black on screen again. Now I'm going to use a tool. It's called the masking tool, the rectangle masking tool. And I'm just going to draw a marquee to where that point is. And then it's not perfect yet, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to correct it by going back to the selection tool and making this. So I just, and just double click the masking, this white line that you see here. I'm just going to double click it so it becomes basically a bounding box. And now I can actually make it a little bit smaller, like such, and like such. Okay? And instead of obviously, if I go back to After Effects, or like, then we got actually the opposite of what I want to do, right? Agreed? So I'm going to invert that. There it is. Yeah. And I go back here. Bloop. And now it's great. See? How simple. If you know how it's done, it's not a problem. It's just a problem when you don't know. No, that's nasty. Because you're just starting to learn After Effects. No, but you'll learn if you start doing and playing around with it. And to my experience, you can't go wrong. Sometimes if you really mess up an After Effects composition, in many cases the best thing, and it's with any complicated software, is just to start over again, to start from scratch, instead of trying to fix something that you actually don't know how to fix, because you haven't learned that yet. So often it's best to do that immediately like that. Okay, so now this is a possibility that you color footage like that you make a title like this, but it might also be that you want to do something else. So After Effects you can use in conjunction to Premiere, but you can also use it on its own to generate images. Okay. So let's do that for now. So I'm going to close this project because this After Effects project that I've got here is actually now belongs to my Premiere project. It's my helper project. It's in support of my Premiere project. So I don't want to start fiddling into that project and doing something whole new with it. Now I'd rather keep it all together, simple. This is my link project, because next time, let's say I close this project, and this is useful to know as well. I'm going to save it. Yeah, it's perfect. I'm just going to didn't quit After Effects, we just closed it. If I want to re-edit this particular, I say, this color, I don't know. This color, I don't know. Okay, that's color. See, you can see even though I closed the project, it will still work, but I can't edit it. So what I can do, in order to edit what I have, is I can right-click and say Edit Original. Okay. Guess what that does? It opens up that project again that's linked to Premiere. Okay, and then we can go here and I can say, oh, go to my effect controls, select my layer that I want to change. I want to change it not to red, I think it's too much. I want a sort of a dark blue. I think that's a bit better. Okay, now I've edited that and then you can see it updates it right here. Okay, maybe a little bit of, the color is it's a bit ugly, that yellow. Maybe like that. I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so I've changed that and then I can do that. Now all the rendering, if I now say, okay, I want to make a movie out of this, you just render as you do. You know, you set an in and out point in your timeline, make a movie in Premiere, render it out. You don't even have to have After Effects open at that time. It will understand that those two files I've got here belong to an After Effects composition, to two After Effects compositions. So which is actually great. So cool. I'm going to close this project. You can do that also, because we're going to start a new project that we're going to play with today. Yeah, you can save it. And really, I've come in. I had a couple of problems with this dynamic link, but usually it was a problem because I was doing too many other things inside that After Effects project, and I didn't leave the project just to be in support of my Premiere timeline. Okay. Premiere, actually, we can also quit because we don't have to actually be here anymore. You want to save that? Yeah. So as I said, After Effects is very, it's a complicated program, but it's also heavy on the resources. It uses a lot of graphics power. Actually, if you really, you want to become an After Effects fully, or you already know quite a bit of it, then at some point, and you have some cash to throw around, then buy a computer with a decent graphics card. They are online. You can find systems that are specifically optimized for After Effects. PUGET, Puget systems, for instance, Puget.com. They have sort of give you a layout of what the ideal configuration of a computer system is that can deal with After Effects very well. But those things, they're not cheap. They're sometimes like 40,000, 50,000 rand worth computers, because graphics cards are actually usually the most expensive things. But you're not there yet, as I said. Start small and just grow with the need. Don't overspend yet. Cool. So I've got nothing open at the moment. Then you open up After Effects and you might get something like this. Okay. So let's open a new composition. In the new After Effects, you can just click here, or you can click here, or you can go new composition right there. Obviously, this is the easiest way, so why make it difficult? Okay, now let's say 1280 720 is not really a file size or a screen size resolution that we work with a lot. So let's change that. Okay, so you go to preset. These are good presets. Presets, go to HDTV 1080-25. That is a preset that we use all the time. So it's about, again, 1080-25. So go here to preset 1080-25, 1920-1080, 25 frames per second. And then you can, well, depending on how long you want it, you make this, you have to anticipate a little bit how long you want to make your animation or whatever you do, your motion graphic, to be long at. 8, let's make it 10 seconds or something. Generally 10 seconds is a good thing to start. You can always change this later, okay? Let's also change, for the sake of it, because to teach you how to do this, obviously change the background color to something that is slightly more visible. You can choose a color to your liking, but maybe for the moment choose something slightly different than black, because black can be sometimes a bit confusing. But I want to show you what the transparency, you choose anything, blue, green, whatever, you know. I'm choosing green, because I don't know why. But, and then, you see that I'm not seeing my green color as a background color. Why? Because there's a little button here. It's called Toggle Transparency Grid. If you turn that off or on, then you actually see the physical transparency. So what that actually sort of means is that After Effects has a background color, but it's only there when you want it. You know? If you wanted to export this with transparencies, then this actually can be exported as such. Anyway, this is quite a lot of information. Let me briefly explain the interface of After Effects. Okay, so we're now starting at where I should have started, less advanced. So beginners. Okay, this here is your project. That's how it starts up. Eh? There's your project window. Here's your effect controls. I haven't applied effect on anything yet, so you won't see anything there. But this is your project window. This is basically your media, your browser, your project browser, right? You can create folders in here. You can import files in here. If I double click in this window here, double click, 1, 2, then I can import things, okay? You can also go File, Import, File, okay? Same. Or, if you like, Command I. Bye.
Oh, no, I'm coming back.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, you never know. So, Command I, import file will also allow you to import files, right? Video files, audio files actually also, graphic files, Illustrator files, Photoshop files, whatever. There's so much you can import, 3D files even. You can import in After Effects. To a degree, 3D files, sort of. Anyway, and here we got Comp 1. And Comp 1 is actually, that's the composition I was talking about. As soon as you've got a composition, then something will open up here, this is basically like a sequence in Premiere. It's similar, but it's called the composition here. Okay, so composition, project window, the browser. This is this is highly confusing. This window here contains more tabs, as you can see. 1, 2, 3. Layer window, footage window, and the composition window. This is highly confusing because often people say, I can't see what I'm doing, and then they obviously have by accident clicked on the layer window or the footage window, and then you see some different interfaces. Okay, layer window, there's nothing there because I haven't imported anything. Footage, also nothing there, but it's definitely different, as you can see. Then also this bar here is different depending on what you choose. We'll get to that later when I've imported something. Okay, I'm just trying to explain the interface. Info, effects and preset, we've done that. You can search in here if you like. Ease and Whiz, that's a special plugin that I've installed. Hey, it's gone now. Okay, Ease and Whiz. Ease and Whiz. Oh, there it was. Okay, bugger. Lost it. Ease and Whiz. Yes, that's it. That's here. Woo. That's a certain plugin I've installed to make amazing animation. Give a very different way of interpreting time. Actually, with keyframes. We'll get to that at some point. But these are the windows that I've got available. Maybe you've on a much bigger screen and you've got much more of these things like here. But this is also usually with, if I apply a text, then character pops up. You can see that. So as soon as I hit the T button here, that character popped up as well. So these are your panels, as they're called. And then here, you've got your timeline. Okay, here's your timeline. 10 seconds I chose, and this I will explain also. These are basically your individual source settings. Okay. Well, for this instance, we gonna just work within, and that's the nice thing with After Effects as well. For After Effects, you actually don't need to shoot anything. You can just work from the program itself and generate interesting images just from the program. It can very unlike Premiere, where you actually, well, in Premiere you work with video or audio, right? With After Effects you can actually generate images from basically nothing. Let's do that. So how do you do that is, for instance, you start creating a solid layer. And I did that just briefly to create a bar, top and bottom of that video piece. But yeah, you go to Layer, New, Solid. Okay? There. So go Layer, New, Solid. That will make a new solid layer. As such. You can, just like you did with the background, you can choose a color. Let's do some light blue or something. Okay. And it's nice if it's comp size. You can click that button, so it's the same as the comp, but it generally is. And then it will fill up the screen, and then we see that we've got a solid layer right here. And it actually also gives you the name Royal Blue Solid. If it would be red, it gives you red, royal, red, whatever. It just gives it a name. And then also what happened, it has then started to create a bin, a folder in this case again. And inside that folder is now a red, blue solid. Okay? A solid is basically just a color layer. And I can, with the move tool, here's all my tools at the top, I can move that solid around. It's really just a color layer. That's what it is. I'm going to undo that, so it's going to be full screen. Well, actually, from this layer, I want to, let's see, I want to make a sort of square. So I'm just going to take the corner of that layer, the corner right here, and I'm just going to make a square like that or something. Okay. Yeah? Okay, so let's have a look at if you're managing this. If you just want to watch, it's also fine for now, that's also okay. But it's actually also nice to sort of follow. Actually, also great. Anything else? Working. Trying to get your attendance up. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. So I've got a green background with a little blue square. Okay. Now what I want to do and why I'm doing this actually is to show you one of the very basic animation principles is just moving something from left to right on the screen. But as soon as you, the beauty of After Effects is as soon as you start understanding these little principles of how it works, then you can apply those principles to anything, including video. Okay. Cool. Royal Blue Solid. Okay, so what happens as soon as I apply and even if I don't scale it like such, as soon as I put a layer inside of this comp window that says comp 1 here, then that layer has certain properties. And these properties, if I want to see them, I have to click on this little triangle next to where it says Blue Solid. Right? Just open it up. Then you got a thing called transform. Okay? It says right here, transform. And again, a triangle. Okay? There's easier ways to get through this, but I'll show you that later. But especially for the beginning, this is important to understand how a layer is built basically in After Effects. Transform, you can open that up, and then you've got five different properties. Okay? You can call these layer properties. And depending on what kind of layer it is, these will change. But these are the standard properties for even for video files. Okay? Transform properties means where do they sit inside the bigger picture of that comp. Okay? We've got anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. Okay? Those are the 5 main default properties. And I'm going to briefly explain them, all of them. Okay, Let's start with position, because that's the easiest one. Position, and you can see these numbers here, the basically x and y coordinates. They change as you go further to the top left or down to the bottom right, top right, bottom left. All right. So if you, and this is quite crucial, and again, if you understand it, right, then you understand actually how these principles of the layer and the position work. Position works, well, After Effects works with x and y coordinates, top, bottom, the top left, there the position coordinates will be actually 0, 0, okay? That means that this little point that you see in the middle of this layer, this point is called the anchor point. If it's on 0, 0, then it will be exactly in the top left of the layer. And every layer works like that. At the bottom right, so it's basically x and y values of the position in relevant, yeah, the solid position in relation to the cop. Okay. It's a bit technical, it's a bit scientific, but get over it. Okay, so okay, all the way down in the bottom, okay, right. We have another bunch of coordinates, and these coordinates you also know because these are 19, 20, 10, well 80 actually, and then it means, okay, and everything in between will have also coordinates. So those are actually your position coordinates. Okay. Cool. So that's position, and you can actually also drag these x and y coordinates up and down, left and right. You can drag them. You can also move it manually. Something again, this would be a bit tricky to do in. Well, the interface doesn't lend itself so well in Premiere. Even though you could, in principle, do this in Premiere too. Okay, so that's position. Okay, if I reset it, no, let's not do that. Okay, and then you've got scale. Now, please remember that I actually pulled the sides of this box, and that has caused my position, my scale percentages to change. So obviously, if I reset it, then that will be 100, 100, right? And the position will be still there, and but let's undo that. There we go. So we're back at where we were, sort of. So if I change the size of this, the scale, then these numbers will change as well. Okay, rotation, and you can also drag these numbers, but please note that this little icon here, it says, also if you roll over it, you don't know what it means, it says constraint proportion. Here I can constrain the proportion horizontally, and here I can constrain the proportions vertically. But if I want to constrain them together, so they move together, then I do that. I get that little link sign. Please note that it looks like a little chain. So now the dimensions will scale proportionally. Okay. Cool, but you can do it, if you don't want it, you can also do it interactively here in the thing as well by just dragging this box. Okay, rotation, guess what? You know what that is, because that will just roll this one. 360 degrees, you know, basic math, will cause one revolution, okay? 360 and 720 degrees will cause 2 revolutions, but it will go like this all the time. 2 revolutions, 3 revolutions, etc. You can also do this, and then you don't see anything happen because it's 35 resolutions. Cool. So let's make that 0 again, and that's 0. You can also do that on the keyboard, obviously. And then the last one is opacity. Well, previous to last one is opacity. Okay. And then we skipped one, which is the one at the top here, which is called anchor point, because that's always the trickiest one to explain from the default transform properties. The anchor point is the point where the layer scales from, but the point where the layer rotates from. Okay. Now for the fun of it, let's change the anchor point. And there's a tool at the top of your tool panel, right? It's called the anchor point pan behind tool. You can see it. It's that tool that has a sort of dotted line and then 4 little arrows, whatever. So if I click on that, then I can go to my layer. I can pick up this middle of this layer and can move it to the right here, okay? And then you can see also that those coordinates of the anchor point also change. It actually also changes the coordinates of my position, but we'll get to that later. So that's anchor point. What does that mean? Because nothing actually happens. Nothing has happened. Well, if I now change the position, the scale, you can see that the scale only scales out from that particular point. Right? It scales out from this particular point outwards this way. If I would put it in the middle, let me do that. If I put it in the middle again, then guess what? If I scale it up, it scales from the middle. Okay. So the anchor point is basically the point where. Well, it's even better to explain it with rotation, because it will rotate over the middle, like you see here. But if I put my anchor point right there, then it will rotate around that point. You can see. So guess what? Why they call it anchor point? Maybe there's a super clever student who thinks, yay, I know. No, I don't say if you don't know this, you're not clever. But no, but there's a simple way of explaining it. You know, a ship goes to the harbor, right? It drops down its anchor. The wind comes, right? He gets drunk. No, he doesn't get drunk. He's a good sailor, and no, you will get drunk. Okay. But he's in the harbor, the wind comes, and then the boat starts swirling around, okay? The boat starts swirling around. And let's imagine this is the boat. It will swirl around, it will rotate around that anchor point, and that's why it's called anchor point. I could put my anchor point right here. I don't know. But, and you can see the boat rotates around the anchor point, and it scales around the anchor point, right? Yoo-hoo. Good, now I'm getting drunk. So those are the 5 basic properties of your, these are the 5 basic properties of your transform properties. Okay, that was 2 properties in one sentence. That's not good. I'm drunk. So, let's put it back at where it was, and then go back to where we were, sort of, and there. Okay. Okay. Now let's. So I'm gonna make this 0 again. Okay. So it's more or less where it was, in the middle. Okay. Anchor point also sort of in the middle again of this. It's not exact, but for now it's okay. Okay, so what time is it? Okay, let's do one more thing. I just want to show you, 2 more things. I want to show you how to basically animate, so you can fiddle with it on your own accord when you have some time to blow away, and then I want to show you how to export just a clip from this program. Okay, so it's very simple. Let's start. Oh, okay, and this is what happens. I double clicked on my layer, and then what happens? Everything changes. Look, this is different. I'm lost. So you don't have to be lost, because you're at shore and you can go just click back on the layer, on the composition here. Okay. So we still don't have footage, so you won't see that. Okay, cool. So how do we animate the position of a layer? Okay. Well, it's very simple. Here it is, the time vary stopwatch, the one I just forgot to mention earlier. Time vary stopwatch, toggle ability of property to change over time, option click add or remove expression. Forget about that, that's for later. Toggle ability of property to change over time. So that's actually important to understand because it gives you the ability to change a property over time. Okay, so currently my box, this box here, the blue box, is in this position. If I click that, nothing has changed, it will be still on that position. But then over time, and then to do that, and this is what people keep on forgetting in After Effects, to do that, to make animation, you have to do it over time. So it means you have to move your cursor, your playhead, this thing, a bit forward in time, and then you can move your blue box or whatever to the right or to the left, and then that will create a keyframe. Okay, and guess what? If you then play that, it will move. Okay, so this is the basic principle of animation. Let me do that once more to do that because this is obviously where you always get lost. Endpoint's gone. In the composition window. Let's see. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. You have to select the layer in order to see it. Yeah, you can't change the endpoint, you can actually not change anything on the layer if you don't select it. But that's all good. So I'm going to do that once more. So undo. To make that position property animatable, I have to click the stopwatch, which will actually create a keyframe. You can see that here. This is a keyframe. This little, they call it a diamond. It's actually far from a diamond, but it's actually a 90-degree rotated square. So, go move a little bit forward in time, say 1.5 seconds or so, doesn't matter. And then you move it to the right or left or top or bottom, also doesn't matter. And then it will create for you another keyframe. And if you then move your cursor over that time, then you'll see that these properties here, moving my cursor over this property here, is changing over time. Actually, the height doesn't change, just the width. Okay? So the position, the x and y value actually of the position of the block, changing over time. And this is the core principle of After Effects, how it works in 90% of the cases or something. Okay, now guess what? You can do more. You can, as you move your block to the right, you can also make the block rotate 190 degrees, for instance. So let's do that. So I'm making the rotation property animatable. Move to the next keyframe, and actually really easy, the same keyframe for position. Easy to jump to it is just click and go to next keyframe, so it will jump there. And then say here, you type 90, bloop, and then there we go. Brilliant. Well, sort of. For a drunk. And so, now I've animated that. You can also say, well, I also want to, as I'm doing that, I also want to animate the scale. Click that stopwatch and go to the next keyframe. It's just useful to go to the next keyframe to keep them all aligned. That will actually help the animation. And let's say make it smaller as it goes there. Okay. So now, whoop. Okay, you can make funny sounds like I do, and that helps. And you can also do the last one. I mean, anchor point becomes a bit more complicated, so let's not do that for now. You can also say, well, as it goes back to the far end there, it also fades out, and then you can drag opacity to 0. So we've got now 4 properties being animated. Okay, and yeah, those are basically the properties of animation. Cool. If you want to now, let's say you want to play this back a couple of times, right? Well, what happens if I go to the beginning, and I press the space bar, just press the space bar, it will play, bloop. But then for a very long time nothing happens. See, it goes there and there and there. Keeps on going until it goes to the beginning, and probably it will repeat itself. Yeah, and then it repeats itself. That's quite boring because now I'm looking 9 seconds to nothing, right? So how do you solve that? There's a little slider here at the top. It is called your work area slider. Okay, that's this thing. It's got a little blue end. If you don't see it, then you might be zoomed in too much. So now I'm zooming in too much. Then you take the top slider, which is the navigation time indicator. No, it's the navigator bar, whatever. I don't know what it's called. But this is your work area bar, and you put that there. And now if I play back, then it will repeat itself over and over. Nice. The abyss. See? It's murky green water, and my boat is sinking over and over again. I'm dreaming. Okay, that's enough. Yeah. How about that? Oh yeah. So I think this is, as an introduction, I think this is enough. But there's one more thing I want to do, which is, if you want to play with it, one more thing you need to know is, if I want to make a self-contained little video, because you're going to do this with solid layers and then post it on YouTube in your personal channel and get lots of hits and advertising. Okay, say you want to do that, then you have to render it out as a video. Okay, how do we do that? Well, at first you need to select your comp. That's for one that you have to do. And I'm always a bit like, yeah. Okay, and then it's just different again. Adobe has the, it's not so nice actually. They have the custom to change things like the output, to your, to make a movie, for instance. Put that at different positions all the time. And even give it different shortcuts. And in this case you can't even change them. Okay? You can't, actually in After Effects you can't change shortcuts. It's a bit of a, well no, you can actually, oh well, never mind. Okay, so how do you do this? So you say actually, and it doesn't even say make movie. No, it says add to render queue. Okay. So that you have to understand and remember. If you want to make a movie in After Effects, you have to say add to render queue. Plop. Then the render queue will open next to your comp, which is this. And then you have to go through a couple of settings, pretty much similar to what you would do in Premiere, but it looks different. Why they don't make it all look the same, I don't know. It's a mystery to me. But you first go and you basically go to your render settings and you click on where it says best settings. You just click on that. So these blue words that you see here, best settings, you click on that. Then this complicated box will open. For now, the only thing you really have to look at is that everything is set to best in full resolution, right? And that it's set to work area. That's that little area I just indicated in my timeline. Because I don't want to render out nothing for a while. And then here you can see, it's about 1 second of video. So that's my work area, and that's it. Well, yeah, you've got frame rate, etc. As long as you set that up right in the beginning, then it's all good. Okay, you say okay, and then here it will indicate that you have checked your best settings by saying, okay, custom best settings. That's when you check a property, render property or render setting, then it will do that. Then you have to go to output module. Okay, Here it becomes a little bit more complicated because here you have to actually really choose what you're going to render out as. Okay? We said progress 42 or H264. Okay. Well, it said, in my case it says it's set to H264. In your case it's very likely probably that it's set to animation. That says animation here. I don't know. Because that's the default, but it's not the greatest codec. So I want to challenge you to press this button called Format Options. Plonk. Go to, not to animation, but go to something like H264 or Progress 42. Let's do Progress 42 because it's a great render format, master format. And say OK. And now you've set it to Progress 42. Next time you open up this particular computer that you were on, and it will probably have this same setting still. It's just by default when you install After Effects it will come up with animation. And animation is a good codec, but it's far too big in the end. Progress is much more economic. Okay. Resize, you can still resize, you can do all kind of stuff here. Don't worry about it. If you want to render out in sequences, you can do that here. But as I said, don't worry about it as yet. Keep it simple. The only thing I've done is check this format options. Okay, cool. We go. Audio input is automatic. If you've got audio in your timeline, it will automatically add it. It will render it or not, depending whether it's there or not. So that's great. So you don't have to worry. Last thing I have to really check is the name and where it goes to, which is right here. And I'm going to go to Documents, second year. No. It's somewhere else. I was in this one, WITS 2018, first semester, second year. Yeah, me. And then, yeah, I call it square test. Okay, give it a name. As you see, it comes up with the comp1 name, so yeah, you can change that. But anyway, that's fine for next. Okay, that's it. And then you still not done, because then you still have to press the render button. Okay? If you don't press the render button, it hasn't physically done anything. Oh yeah, a good one. I haven't rendered it. I haven't saved the project. Please look here, I was bad. I just did what I said I shouldn't do. Untitled project is not a good thing to have. If it crashes the computer during the render, it might disappear. I think it's fine for now, but rather do that. And then you do the dishes in the kitchen, and then you hear your studio where your computer is, and you hear the lovely sound, and you know your render is done. And then you can go to you can actually go here, click on this blue thing here, and then you can see here that square test, and there's your movie. Nice. Okay. And okay, let's now save the project, because as I said, it's a bit silly that I didn't. Maybe I'm just clicking on here, it's also useful in and then that square test project. Yep, brilliant. Okay, and that's it. When you close After Effects now, you will, next time you can just open it again and you can carry on working on it. Yeah, please also note that it's, like you saw in my project, you can have multiple comps, compositions. I can create another one, comp 2. I can also, actually a good thing is, bouncy ball. Say the next thing I'm going to do is a bouncy ball, and then I say okay, and then when I render this out, the bouncy ball, it automatically takes that name. So it's actually quite useful to give your comps names, not comp 1, 2, 3, because you never know what it actually means. It's not contextual, it's not referencing to anything. So rather give it a name that makes sense, like bouncy ball or square, test, whatever, animation. And then you actually know what you're dealing with. And also the great thing is once you make a video of that, it will automatically take that name. So you only have to do that once. Cool. Okay, and I think that's it. For today I've done enough. I'm gonna purge my memory because it just takes up 7 gigs. Takes up a lot of computer space basically. And then I'm gonna quit After Effects. Do you wanna save it? Yeah, it's fine. You can save it. And there it is. And then inside this, as soon as you save a project like that, as you can see, it does an auto save. So also for the square thing, it will do auto saves. As soon as because it was untitled, it didn't save it. But for the Italy project, which had a name, it did do the auto saves, meaning every 30 minutes it auto saves the project. So you can never lose more work than 30 minutes, basically. You can change that duration, but usually I think it's fine. Okay, that's fine for me. You can obviously carry on playing if you like. It's up to you. Does it make any sense? Okay, cool.